Hey YouTube, welcome back to another knife review. Today I'm taking a look at the Copper Cinder by Kershaw. So there's already a normal version of the Cinder, which is just, I think G10 handles, maybe a FRN scales or something, but this is a different version with copper on it. So it is a little heavier. I think the original version is 0.9 ounces and this is 1.5 ounces, so a little heavier with that copper on there. And before I really get into the review, it kind of just comes in one of these cheap little pouches. You can see there's a picture of it on the back, tells kind of the different tools on it. But now we can get into the review. So like I've been doing lately, I have a set of how I'm doing my review, and I was just bleeding on the video I just filmed for the Natrix, so hopefully I don't start bleeding again, but whatever, I guess we'll see. We can start off with the specs. It is 4 inches long, overall length. The blade length is 1.375 inches with a edge length or a cutting edge length of 1 1/8. Handle length of 2.625 and a blade thickness of 0.09. Handle thickness of 0.36 inches. And the blade shape, kind of weird because it's such a small blade, but I guess it can be considered a sheep's foot. It's so small it doesn't really matter what the blade shape is, because, I mean, you could probably call it a drop point or a Warncliffe, I don't know, but it's a weird blade shape, so sheep's foot it is, I guess. It is a plain edge with a hollow grind. And the blade steel, might say right there, oh, no. Doesn't say, but the blade steel is 3CR13 MOV, so not very good steel. I think a lot of people were disappointed when they came out with an upgraded version with copper scales, and then they didn't upgrade the steel for the Natrix. They upgraded the steel and made it D2 instead of whatever the cheaper steel they were using for the other ones, so kind of thought they would update this one, but they didn't. So 3CR13 MOV, and like I said, copper scales with a steel liner, and I think there might be a steel liner on this other side too. Can't really see yet. See back there, that little bit of steel right there. So steel steel liners under the copper scales. And like I said, it's 1.5 ounces, so a lot heavier than the regular one, but still, I mean, 1.5 ounces for a little tiny knife, not really too much. No pocket clip on it. So small, it's about the size of a pocket clip, so that doesn't really matter. And it is a liner lock. See that little liner right there, very accessible. Also has a bottle opener and a lanyard hole or a key ring hole right here, so you can open bottles with it and keep it on a keychain, just like a Victorinox little Swiss Army knife or whatever little novelty keychain knife you'd carry. So let's get into the appearance and design. So as you can see, it is very small. There it is in my hand, so it doesn't really take up much room. You can see it's got that black hardware against that copper scale. I think that looks really good. Nice design choice by them, and the hardware looks really nice, kind of flattened with that Torx bit hardware. And you can see the thumb stud screws on like that from the back side. And the bottle opener kind of works with the design well. Kind of just sticks off the back there. It's not too big or anything. It's just the back spacer really. So I think that looks really good with it. Now we'll get into the goods. What I really like about the knife. So it did come sharp. It's 3CR13 MOV, so it's not crazy strong or anything. It's not going to hold an edge for too long, but it did come sharp. It can cut paper. I'll do another cut test on this same piece of paper from the Natrix video, but Focus. So it came nice and sharp. It's a nice thin blade steel 0.09 with a hollow grind, so should be able to take a nice sharp edge. You can see it's got a really big secondary bevel on it, so it must really come down to a fine point. It is flippable. I'll try it one time on camera, and if I don't get it, it doesn't mean it can't flip, but there we go. Okay, that's the only time I'm doing it, but you can flip it out. It is kind of hard, especially with my sweaty hands, and copper doesn't really grip onto it, but kind of just barely get a grip on the knife and then you can flip it out. It's very ergonomic. So in the hand like this, you can see I get almost as much of a hand on it than I do, or that I do with the Natrix. So 3 fingers, almost a 4th finger down here, and then rest my thumb up here, and then just that little bit of blade showing. So definitely just for little detailed cuts, nothing real big on this knife. I do like the lock style. Nice liner lock, but it gives you this whole big section to be able to get down into it to unlock it. And it functions well. You can see the lockup is, I don't know, 65 or 75%. Hasn't moved or anything, but it doesn't need to be super early lockup for such a small, thin-bladed knife. And it's pretty good size. You could put it on a keychain. You could put it in your 5th pocket. I've been carrying my 5th pocket, just trying to get this copper to patina a little. So I'll probably keep carrying it just to try to get that copper to change and patina. But you don't really notice it in there. It's so small and light that it just doesn't really take up much room. You could probably just throw it at the bottom of your pocket and not even notice. So some of the bad things, the sintering is pretty bad. It came even more off center than that, and I tightened down the pivot, and the pivot felt a little loose, so I tightened it up. It kind of straightened up a little, and then we just went right back after a little while. So I might take it apart and clean it, then try to get it to straighten back up and then Loctite it, but it didn't come centered, didn't stay centered or anything. Another thing is the thumb stud is a little sharp. I probably won't be able to show you guys, but the way the thumb stud is machined, there, you can kind of see it. That second step from the top, it's kind of like right there where my thumbnail is. That one's a little sharp. All the other steps are pretty rounded, pretty soft steps. And the second one from the top's kind of squared off, so it is a little sharp. You're not really flicking this all day or anything, so you can't really like cut your finger on it from flipping it too much probably, but it is a little uncomfortable. And the pivot being a little loose, that was another bad thing about it. So do a little comparison. Here it is against the copper Natrix. So this copper is kind of plain on the Natrix, and this one is really smooth, like it's been tumbled in a like a stone washer tumbler type thing. So it's really soft and smooth. They really polished it out. It actually looks a little better than the Natrix. And you can see the other side too, so you can see a lot more of that copper. So they did do a really nice finishing on that copper. And I'll hold it up to the Paramilitary 2 just to show a size comparison with something that's very popular. So both of these are knives. You could use these for everyday tasks, but one is 1.5 ounces and enough to fit on a keychain. Here it is, about the size of a pocket clip. So my recommendations and final thoughts on the knife. I really like it. It is a cool little knife. I don't really have any little knives this small, but kind of a novelty. You can throw it on a keychain. I'd recommend if you're somebody that, like, I don't know, maybe works retail or something and you're not allowed to carry a big knife, like somebody needs you to cut something and you just pull out a knife like this and scare your customer. If you're not allowed to do that and you're allowed to carry a little Victorinox or a little tiny knife, like a little traditional knife, then I think this would be pretty cool. It'd be a nice carry just on like keychain or something, and you could just pull that out instead of the Victorinox. The blade steel 3CR13 is probably better than Victorinox Swiss Army knife steel anyway. And yeah, I think it'd go nice. Keychain or a key ring, or throw a lanyard on it and throw it in your pocket. And a little recommendation, like I said with the Natrix, just check the quality on it if you're able to see it in person before you buy it. Check to see if it's sintered. And just check some of the quality control stuff. And you should be good. Okay. I'll attempt to flip it one more time before the video's over. There we go. Okay, so with that, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Check out the Natrix review if you want to see that. I might do an update in a little while once these start patinaing. But other than that, check out the other videos on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.